Good morning, darlings. Okay, just a quick one today then, please. There were a few tasks for this, but not a lot of class discussion. So this is the second lesson for Blood Brothers that was delivered to my class this week. Okay, so the first thing is, these are the main themes that we include, that we see in the play Blood Brothers. Your task is to create a Wordle. Obviously, with the larger the word, the more prominent the theme within the play. You might want to put Blood Brothers in the middle. You should take up an entire side of A4 for this. So one whole page of your exercise book. Make it as colourful as you like. This will, of course, be a revision page for you to come back to, so that you can, skim, scan, and have a reminder of what is in the play. So I'll just go through these because some people weren't aware of what all of them were. Obviously, this one is crime, OVS. Friendship is this one over here. This one here is tragedy. This one is both childhood and parenting or motherhood. This one is superstition, violence, obviously. This one is maturation, maturation, maturation. This one is addiction. This one is class, or if you're posh, class. This one is dreams. Obviously, it spells dreams, although some people read it the wrong way, but we won't go into that. I'm sure you know who they are. This one is obviously death, and this one is grief. So the larger the theme, please, the larger the word on your Wordle. So go ahead and pause the video whilst you do that. Make it nice and bright, nice and colourful, nice and eye-catching, and then come back. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've come back then, and quite a few people were asking this in the lessons. Miss, why is Marilyn Monroe mentioned? Who's she? Who's she? What they're going on about? Why they keep talking about this Marilyn Monroe person? Which is a fair question, because you guys, being ever so young, might not have heard of her. So this is Marilyn Monroe here. She was born Norma Jean Mortensen on the 1st of June 1926, and she died on the 5th of August 1962 when she was 36 years old. She was an American actress, model, and singer who became a major sex symbol, starring in a number of commercially successful motion pictures during the 1950s and early 1960s. So she was very popular in the culture at the time, because don't forget, there were far fewer movies being made then. There weren't that many glossy magazines out, never mind Instagram, Twitter, and all the rest of it. Okay, nobody had a YouTube channel or a Snapchat that you could follow back then. It was just what you saw at the cinema, or perhaps if you were rich enough, on the television at home, if you had one. Okay, but mostly it was people used to go to the cinema. That's what they used to do. Okay, so she kind of influenced the popular culture of the time. We get it. Okay, that's why she's being mentioned. However, there is more to her than meets the eye. So if you look on the next slide, it says, after spending much of her childhood in foster homes due to her mother's mental instability, Monroe began a career as a model. The final years of her life were marked by illness, personal problems, and a reputation for unreliability and being difficult to work with. The circumstances of her death from an overdose of barbiturates have been the subject of conjecture, meaning people have speculated what happened. Though officially classified as a probable suicide, the possibilities of an accidental overdose or homicide murder have not been ruled out. So, okay, there's a lot more in there then that might be relevant. So that's your task. Okay, to suggest how Marilyn Monroe's life mirrors particular events in the play, and why Russell includes her. Now, Helpful Harvey, who's very helpful, says you can make general notes on the events that are similar. For example, you could then, for example, foster homes. Edward was essentially fostered or adopted out. There was no legalities around adopting him, but he was, looked after by somebody else. And there was a mental instability, which is also reflecting somebody in the play. There's also a lot down here that you might be able to link to Blood Brothers. Okay, so you can find a quote to support your ideas. So it's a good job we labelled everything in the plays, otherwise you'll be searching for ages. You consider why most of the instances occur in the same We Go Dancing song, why most of the comparisons and most of the mentions of her appear in that particular song. And you can consider what an audience of the time, so you're talking early 1980s, who may have grown up in the same era as Mickey, or may even be as old as Mrs. Johnson was in the 1980s, would think about these references and how much they would understand about the links between the two. Okay, so if people were as young as Mickey, early 20s, or as old as Mrs. Johnston, then they might, or anywhere in between, they might also understand, why exactly it was so significant. Okay, and those were the, let me just check, those were the lessons, yeah, because next lesson we'll come on to this. But those are the lessons that for this week. So we finished the annotation of what Liverpool was like in the 80s, and then we went on to Marilyn Monroe. Okay, so make some notes. This is an analytical paragraph or two. Make sure you're finding a quote, methods if you can, please, guys. And yeah, do well, work hard, stay safe, and I will see you soon.